Scano, good afternoon. Annie, nice to see you, white spotted horse.
Oh, it's nice to be here.
Yeah, beautiful sunny day. It's turned out to be where we are here in Ontario in Oakville, and uh, it's it was one of those days where I could feel the energies coming in and out, and I'm was happy that I was able to spend some time on the phone with you before this time right now, just to kind of help me kind of talk through some things and just welcoming everyone to this conversation. And we're gonna pick up from where we left off and hopefully share some of the conversations we had earlier today, which was really in response to, for me, I believe this energy of the moon that we've been in. So it was a new moon the other day, and I'm really starting to thankful to the grandmas paying attention to the impact and, I don't know, the effect the natural world, connecting to that natural world, has on me and in my life now. And so before we get started, I'd like to offer that gratitude and acknowledge the natural world and the beautiful energies that sustain us, and the the sun that came out really strong just about 20 minutes ago, and of course the Mother Earth and Grandmother Moon, the waters. I just poured myself a nice glass of water, and just my husband just came in with dinner, I think. So we'll acknowledge those fish because that's what I think he picked up tonight. For those of you who are joining us now, welcome. And for those of you who are joining us at a different time, I'm just taking this moment to offer gratitude to the creator and even technology today, so that we get to connect across this beautiful world. We have Allen, excuse me, Sutherland, white spotted horse, that is joining us, and we get to share this really beautiful time. And we've been doing this bi-weekly, and we get to just share what comes up. And at this time, just welcoming you, Scano Jody Nigasso. I'm going to actually turn it over to Alan right now because it seems that there's some busyness going on in my home in this space. So maybe you can take a minute to introduce yourself, and then we'll get into our conversation.
I will. I will talk about today's theme as it presents itself. Wabshki minis is it misatem nis nakaz. The Juni do dem ishkonan indonji Treaty 2 territory. I am White Spotted Horse of the Lynx clan from Skowhegan First Nation of Treaty 2. I currently live in the center of Turtle Island. I call Cooks Creek in Treaty 1. And my English name is Allen Sutherland. I just wanted to share that I woke up with a name. It was just from the dream world. It just before I was awakened, this name came through, and it's SOL, soul, Saul. And I have a sense with that name. I heard it before I even knew an elder that had that kind of name, but it had a meaning to me in terms of what does this mean. So immediately I Googled it, and it was a Roman paganism before they became Roman and Catholic faith, the Roman Empire. But the Romans believe that's the sun. The sun is a powerful symbol to them. So when I looked into it, it means for them it means peace. Now this came up because I was meeting with a group today of Christian faith from around the world. They were meeting at a nearby place, 20 minutes from here, and they asked me to come for breakfast. So I did, and they asked me if I can stay for a little while, and I did. I was. They picked up from yesterday from their sharing circle, and I was absorbing, taking it in. It's one of these church that has embraced our indigenous traditions and culture items, and they incorporate it with their Bible, their belief systems, and most of them are indigenous preachers. But they had representatives from all over the place, you know, Palestine and China and such. Now, in the middle of the floor was a medicine wheel, and I know that Jody, you asked me the question about the medicine wheel, and I gave you a little historical background on it. It's not a religion; it's more of a modern interpretation, but it's a tool. It's more of a tool than anything. And like all tools and protocols, they help us organize. They help us to teach. So a medicine wheel is a teaching tool. So there was one on the floor there, and it represents one of the teachings. It represents the four races of human beings that are on the earth. And the center of it was a bundle, but it was a star a star quilt. So it had all the four colors and more on the quilt, which is more reflective of the rainbow colors. So I'm taking it all in, and they're talking about their life experience, how they grew up with religion, how they rebelled from it, and then how they came back. Now I met this one girl who's there to explore this, and she's being triggered. I can tell because I was triggered. Because as Indigenous people, we haven't, and that was another thing I talked to a person about. There's one that I met from Regina. It's talking about reconciliation, and that's the title of this podcast: reconciliation. There is definitely a reconciliation among our own people, especially when it comes to religion of different churches. Even some will say different Bibles. But among our people, there is a split. Some have found their way, which is a true balance of having it all. Who said you have to choose one or the other? So they're definitely on that journey. And with my conversations with that young girl about it was, you're not here to choose one or the other. You can reclaim your traditions and your culture, your identity. And if you want to, if this is your road that you're exploring, it's a good road. It's just that even among our people that are part of it, that went back to it, or our neutral state, just observers, they would say you wanna learn about Jesus, and first of all, the name Jesus is an English interpretation of Yahweh, and in terms of the language from that country. And even in their songs, his name is spoken in one of on the common chants. But these elders, the one that talked to me was, which Jesus are you talking about? And the sharing circle that started, they couldn't complete it. It was the other day. It was yesterday, and they were trying to pick that up again, and a lot of them says, well, my Jesus is white, and another one says is yellow, and another one said is black, and some said is fat. He's fat, and some says he's skinny, and I think they were getting to it because it was, who is that person to you? When if you ask me, I am more on the line of the historical Jesus as a historian. I do want to explore the missing years, and I have, but I didn't have a chance to share that with that group because I had to leave at noon. So I just wanted to bring that up because what was common with all of us is that we're all on our journey. And I seen the red one, and I was saying that's the red road that we talk about that we're on. But there are other roads leading to the same place. And the way things are working out to be, it's more of a rainbow road than one color. And one of the ladies in the background is yoo-hoo. So the sun, kisis, is how we say it in our language. Soul was a connection to that Roman Catholic faith that I grew up in. And here I was. It was just spontaneous. I kind of knew I was going to go. I didn't know what I was going to see. And it was just that name that was came from the dream world was, we're all under the same sun. In the same garden, we call Manitou Gitigan, the same garden. And the creator, and I went into that very briefly, the creator wanted diversity. So he placed all these 4 different colors of light that became human beings in these 4 areas of the garden. And then they became the many. So here on Turtle Island, from the one we call Wenebuju, or original, the many groups on Turtle Island. And they all have their places, their locations. They all have their food source, their customs, and how they dress, how they dance, their culture, the tools that they have, their ceremonies. And that's diversity. And the whole message I was trying to say to him was that's the way God wanted it. He wanted diversity. If he didn't want a diversity, then they'll be all one and same color, one type of tree, one type of flower, one type, But what we have is diversity of the landscape of the garden. There are so many places we can go and experience new things, including the people. So I was just giving the message and how all roads are leading to this time frame right now, where I said it was a rainbow road, but it's actually the 7 generations time frame that we're in. And prophecies like Crazy Horse and Sitting Bull, and even among our ancestors, talks about we're all going to be dancing under that tree, and we're all with different colors. So in a way, and Jody, I just wanted to share that with you because we're dealing with not our oneness, where we come from, and to have this emotional experience that we call life. And then we all have to experience all that, the good, the bad, the ugly, and the blessings. But we're all on that journey. And because of that free will, with that beautiful gift, we create the life that we want. We create the world that we want. And you look at the whole big picture today, because of the internet and all that, it doesn't look too good. You see a lot of conflicts, war, and hate and such. But that's just a small snippet of a picture. When the majority is light, the majority are good people. Not everybody's on the internet. Not everybody's watching the tube. So when you look at the balance of it all, there are those that are the light. Those are the ones that have peace in their heart, that may understand these things or know of these things that are going on around them. But they are what we call the light for the darkness, or the solution. And we must maintain our peace to be helpful for others. But meanwhile, there are those all around us, like my daughter, who's invested her time to support the Palestine people in the Middle East, and she's gone to the university. And to take my grandson, to take her son to go and learn what's going on there is, of course, it's her choice. But I would just always be the rock for the family. I always will be supporting her. Because if it gets too much, she knows where the house is. She knows I am there to ground her into the earth and saying it's not that way everywhere. So sometimes you just have people who are just not engaged minute to minute, day to day, month to month on these issues. But sometimes when they are involved, they're powerful in their prayers, they're powerful in their pipes, they're powerful. So we just don't randomly just go and use it. We use it if it affects us. It brings us down, then we need to bring ourselves back up. So anyway, those are the general themes that were going on today, and also our conversation. So I just wanted to let our viewers catch up on what's going on.
Yeah. And Kevin, thank you for. I'm just going to acknowledge your chats in the comments there, and just talking about encampments. And when Alan and I spoke earlier today, just kind of reviewing about what our conversations would look like today. We talk about them, and then it's like, oh, we can't. How are we going to talk about these again? It helps to clear my mind of what I really want to talk about here, and then also help to remove some of the my emotions that come up. Because every time I feel like every time I speak with him prior to these conversations, he helps me bring my waters, and clear some ideas that maybe are getting in the way of just my own way of thinking and processing the work that I'm doing, because the work that is happening right now is it's that understanding, and being comprehending this shift of bringing the spiritual connection and these belief systems that are actually that have changed my life. And I want to acknowledge I guess it's the energies that are not seen, that I know I believe in and trust in, and these are the values that I carry so deeply, and are very compassionate about making change, probably like your daughter. And and knowing that there's that physical part of me that has to be there and show up and share my voice, and when I know it's time, feeling it in my body to have that, and know that, okay, it's time to say something, or it's time to do that action. But then also right now in where I am today, and everything, is that knowing that there are times where I don't have to say anything and I don't have to do anything, and that my prayer and my thoughts and my energy and the offerings, the tobacco, all of the medicines, the whatever it is I offer, the water under my bed, all of these beautiful teachings that have been shared with me to be able to spread, be a part of this bigger, everything that you just mentioned. And then knowing that I'm not losing my mind. And not even, talking about, like, one of our conversations we had earlier today was this this event that happened yesterday. There was a meeting, and I brought forward this meeting, and I had these really strong intentions and prayers in that moment. It was like I knew I was representing not just me there at this table, and I actually brought my bundle to this meeting, and I bring that, when I do go into situations, and the grandmas say, you wear your skirt with pride. and you wear, and bring your bundle so that it's there. You don't have to always bring it out and show it. And it was this one moment where it's like, open that bundle. It's time to open that bundle. And I did, and it was just really to show my commitment to the conversation and my commitment to the unseen world. And then and to know that I am confident in that role now. That's what I feel, and I know, and I'm being. And so when I left that, and yesterday was a really busy day for me, so I didn't comprehend. And this is what I love about this work that I'm doing, is that creative, as an artist or an entrepreneur or someone really passionate about what we're doing and what's happening in the world, is there are things where I just know you don't have to plan. You don't have to really know what you're doing. You just have to show up as yourself. And there's no PowerPoints, there's no nothing. You just go and be present, grounded and true to your essence. And that's what yesterday was for me, is just showing up for the purpose of just being present, and just having confidence to know that when it's time to speak, you will know what to say. And that was yesterday. And yeah.
Oh,
Go ahead.
if you don't mind me, uh,
I mean, never mind. Go on.
speaking from here, I guess I noticed the painting in the background, and I recognized the wampum belt. That's the one. And I believe that's the one where all the women's are holding each other, and there's a vessel in the middle. And I think that's the water vessel looking after the water. I'm trying to recall all the wampum belts that was taught to me over the years, and I cannot help but see uh, an Ukamis with a young lady there. As you're telling your story about bringing your bundle into, the corporate world situation, I too was told to take my strength with me, knowing full well that you may be the attention of a group, and you bring your strength with you. So I wear a ribbon shirt, um, just because somebody said I had a dream, you should be doing this. So I did, and did help, because it gave me a clear voice, but a clear heart, what needs to be said. And I said it. I was challenged, and I stood to the challenge, and it worked out. I just heard that today of a young girl. She said her teachings was she brings her bundle with her. She was told to bring it with her, not to be, put away in her home all the time. It represents her. So when she knows she's going in front of people, that she has her bundle with her. That was her sharing this morning. Now I did share a little bit about the women were the leaders on this side of the world, because I was talking about the four colors, and we're talking about women as leaders on this side of Turtle Island. The women were the leaders. I had a Henry from the Iroquois Confederacy. He was talking about the Five Nations and the Peacemaker, and he was telling the story, and he was talking about how the women are the ones that choose the leadership. They choose the chiefs, and I know this as a historian. That's the United States of America copied that governance systems from the Five Nations, and they took everything. They took the Justice Lodge. They took the 50. There was over 50 representatives of Ogima, like chiefs, that eventually become like the Congress of the United States. There was a knowledge keeper that understands all the ceremonies and the natural and spiritual laws. So they will become, for the Americans, justice. And they chose among them is a spokesperson that represents all of them. And he will be representing in terms of daily affairs. And that's the one the Americans will call the president. So they had all these things copied, including their constitution of we the people. But the one thing they did not pick up is the women clan, mother clans. They didn't take the women leadership. Who was the true leadership that maintains all of these 5 nations? And that's been the problem. So when I reflect on this, on the other side of the world, it became more masculine energy, male dominance. And by the time they came on over and discovered us, they started covering or taking away that strength on this side of the world, which is our mothers, is the feminine energy. So I did share the mothers that are now standing up and reclaiming their voices, like grandmother voice. They're reclaiming their identity together collectively. They're healing. There are more full moon ceremonies and all kinds of ceremonies than ever before that are run by the women. And they are in public with their ribbon skirts, their regalia, their identity. They're putting on a public transit mark. They're walking the streets. Teachers are teaching in the classrooms wearing their ribbon skirts. And it's been said that the women, when they heal themselves and they become in their rightful place where they should be all along, when they reclaim themselves, they're going to heal the men. And then true balance will come to this world. So, as a historian and observer, I'm seeing it. Jody, from your story, you're acting on it. So, the voice might be one or might be few, but it won't always be that way. It'll be a resounding voice that we all can agree to. So some places is the action there has been done already. It's on, like, it's entrenched. It's the norm. Other places are just starting out because this is a big country, but it's happening. So I just wanted to share that with you.
No, thank you. I think we're just starting out over here. No, it's actually it's so funny. And not so funny. I'll share some pretty intimate growth and like openings and things that are happening around here, and it's things are happening over the last week, and just the beauty that I was sharing with you that has happened, and knowing that where I was in that meeting yesterday, and then leaving and going, just I couldn't even remember where I was going, what event it was, but I was like, okay, I put it in my GPS, the first one, second one, third one, and here I am traveling, and I ended up at the place where I did ceremony for the young boy in our community that journeyed home. And it was this whole, even though people were there, and I wasn't like, it was a part of my knowing. I'm going to try to explain this. Having that connection with the spirit world and really being spiritually connected to this natural world and the unseen world, and knowing that I can do that and be that and be present was like, I was like this ascension, or like this, like, hey, I made it. Like I was there in my business essence, like showing up, and then I realized what I needed to stop and do. And And when I did that, which was I was called to the water to put, I said hello, I was greeted the people, and then I was called to the water and I offered the medicine and I stood there and sang the water song. That was the first song I was gifted several years ago. I think it was 6.5 years ago. And I could never start that song ever, ever. If I was in a circle anywhere, even sitting upstairs or on my own or whatever, I would be like, how do I start that song again? I mean, I could never, and I would have to look it up or something. And it just flowed like the water. And the water was so calm and beautiful. And I was seeing, the cloud people, and I was feeling like it was beautiful. And I was like, wow, it's time. It's happening. And I get to experience this and be it. And I'm grateful, because if it wasn't for the people that support the work that I do, support the work that we do, because I just get to be the conduit right now for this conversation, because when you and I have these conversations, my messenger blows up and my phone blows up with, wow, it resonated with me. And Allen is so cool. And the people that are showing up, that are open and sharing their gifts right now, are so cool. And it's all here. If you're looking for it, it's here. And so, yeah, there's no hiding it anymore, because if you think it's showing up, because it's happening. It's in the forefront, the mainstream. It's here. So I'm super grateful that I had that experience yesterday, and knowing that it's time for a shift and change. That's what we talk about here is, uh, it's the how, because so many people have talked about the truth. So we know the truth, and people are learning how to speak the truth, and people are learning how to accept, like, hear the truth, receive the truth, we'll say. But then it's like, how do you respond to that truth? Right? And that's what I'm seeing with people now, being stuck in that, like, what do we do now? Now that we can have this truth between us, how do we make change with that truth? How do we make these things, like, even Kevin is blowing up the chat here with what I know you want to be on here, Kevin. We should bring you on one time. Um, but I think it's that whole, what's next? Now that we have this awakening, now what?
I'm gonna give you a quick teachings. There's 7 grandfather teachings, and we have the turtle that represents truth. That is the echo of your essence, and the turtle has been around since creation, so that one knows everything. Now we have that soul that's been around since creation, and it had many journeys, had many planets, had many lives, had many dimensions. This is something that the Anishinaabe, that's who we are, always knew. What is spirit? What is all that about? Is just that when the newcomers came, they didn't have that teaching. Oh, they might have heard about it in India or Tibet or other places. But when they came, it wasn't part of their belief systems. And that's like saying that there's spirit in everything. They weren't ready for that either. So when you're talking about finding truth together, it's your soul that confirms it. It's your heart that feels it. And that's the joy of knowing that you're sharing your heart with another, your soul with each other. You're connected as one. And then you're asking about process. That is the process, is to connect with each other and to say, okay, wow, what an experience. where do we go from here? Well,
That's
that's the journey, because you know the story, you know the pain, you know the grief, you know the problems and challenges. But then when you get together, it's a full blown bliss. And I says we can do anything.
That's awesome because it's so funny you say that, because yesterday was that day. I'm gonna have to look back in journal or maybe sit with this. Is that that's what my message was yesterday? Because when I do this work and show up just as who I am, which is really hard to filter. I don't think I have a filter anymore, and I've always just shown up, and I get excited and giddy and pissed and happy and angry and whatever, and people say that. They're like, "She just shows up." And yesterday that was, I had an interaction with someone that I've known for years, and at the end of our meeting, we said goodbye and we hugged, and it was really that feeling like, you're just so happy to hug each other. And and then afterwards, when I reached out to him, he said, there's just this sparkle and energy, and it's love showing up and being, all of those words that are like out there. For I say to people when we show up and do circle, this, all of these words that are out there right now, authenticity and, yeah, be yourself. It's like we're removing what society has placed on us. We're removing our life experiences to be, to show up as ourselves. And I don't know if it's because I left home so young, to just learn how to be, like, to, free of whatever it was. But that was something that that just reminded me in the last couple of weeks. We did a lot of ceremony and a lot of shifting, and this new moon energy in the last couple of days was just this whole, I woke up going, like, remembering things that I did, uh, that were like, I did that? I didn't remember. When I moved out, I put all my stuff in a garbage bag and I left. Like, like the things like that, where it's like I'm starting to make connections. And so I feel like it's this whole time of newness, and those things don't even matter, but you're remembering those struggles and what made you and got you to where you are today, to be so, I don't know, raw. I don't know if that's the word, but
Your same conversation that I'm having with you just now is the one I had yesterday. And well, let's put it this way. I needed her to relax. I was doing a timeline therapy, so it's a form of hypnotherapy. I needed her to relax in terms of, let's go to the source of your grief, or the source of your pain. And she came to see me for that, because I says, well, she asked for help, and she wants to be a good healer. And I says, well, if you want to be a good healer, you got to do inner work. You got to look at yourself in order to help others. So she agreed to it. And she, all her life, she's always feels alone. Yeah, she was never close to her parents. And like everybody else, it became a hard life. Struggles and alcoholism. And eventually she has her own family, but there was always something missing. And she wants to be a helper. So we had to do the inner work. You can't focus truly in the present if there's something holding you back. And then you can throw seeds into the future. If you address this, you can have positive seeds into the future, and that's waiting for you. But if you're being held back, well, we got to go and deal with that. So we all went through this veil that covers us. We can't know the knowledge of everything. We were lowered into the body that our mother have made for us. And that was one of her stories was, I see hands there. Yeah, your soul is so large, you needed help to go into a tiny little body. Of course you would see those hands. Anyway, she understood that she left herself along the way as an inner child of not truly being accepted, or where is the love? So that little girl got left behind. As she got older as a young woman, once again disappointments and unloved, and maybe choosing wrong partners, and there's a lot of that going on there. Now she comes to the present, but now she got removed all the way to the time of the womb, to the time of her childhood. We integrated. He says, don't leave any of yourself behind. Take that little girl, say the words you need to say, love that girl, love yourself, integrate, go to the next level, love yourself, integrate, go to the next. Now come to the present. Now you're complete. You're not left behind in your past. You understand it. At any time any of these things come up, they're called triggers. You don't put them back in the body. There's an opportunity now to see the lesson, learn from the lesson, but you're going to release the energy, whatever that energy is: anger, pain, shame, disappointment, abandonment. There it is. Okay, look at it. Understand the lesson. Now, you ready? Let it go. It's just like sometimes you see on iPhones, you can just take the pictures away. That's going to happen throughout your life. Something will come up, like your memory that you're talking about. It's there for a reason. Don't put it back. So what's the message here? To experience. Now, journey always going to be more to look at, but we won't be blocked. We won't be tied. We won't be held back in our past. It is only there to make us who we are today in terms of our walk, our being resilient, being experienced, because that's the way the Creator wanted. He wanted us to evolve, and you're talking about evolving. That's exactly what the Creator wants from us. He never gave us too much where we be truly overwhelmed, where we feel destroyed, or you know what? It's enough to say, I can do this, I can get through this. And when you do, you never have to be there again, because you only get stronger and stronger. Next thing you know, you're so good at this, and you see something coming down the road, you recognize, here comes trouble. Recognize the trouble. Bring it in. Come on, I'm ready. And sometimes you say, oh, this is a big one. I better get some help. So you get whoever you have around you, or ask your spiritual guides. Let's tackle this together. We can only grow onwards from here. But if we're always held back, how can we truly find our power, empowerment? How can we truly manifest a greater life and a greater world for ourselves if we're always keeping ourselves in the dark? When you walk in light, you are the light. Everybody's going to know about it. Everybody's going to feel it automatically. They're going to miss it when you're gone. But, a lot of us are that way already. We need everybody else to feel that way. And the first step is to do the inner work. Love yourself. And the love will look after everything else. Anyway, I wanted to share that with you.
Yeah, I love that. I loved all of that. I can't be on my microphone can't be on. I have to be on mute when you talk because I'm like constantly yes and smiling and laughing and cheering a little bit even. I know that like these words just resonate with me, and I don't know that I smile all the time outside, but I do know that, I'm smiling inside because of the work that I've done. And when you said that, that thought of me in the plastic bag, that happened. And I think it came up because I'm seeing, I'm remembering where I was and where I am today. And I think, I just remembering the story of who I was, and and I'm actually working on a piece for myself, to really to go back to that healing that part of it. And I never ever even acknowledged that part of my life before. And I know that that is a big part of where what I have to do moving forward. So, Nyawa, for explaining it that way, because that was so cool for me. That's how I speak, and I think that that is what we need more today in this shift in transformation of where we're in a time where corporations and organizations and people and education systems and everybody's trying to understand what this shift is and what's next and the process. And we're trying to get people out of their head and into their hearts, but we're still talking from that Western dialogue, using these big words when it's really this, having these conversations and talking about love and talking about dealing with, looking at those things that you maybe tucked away in those boxes or bags or whatever to get to where you are today. And we can't forget about those. And these are simple teachings from, remember where you came from, remember where you're from, where you're going and who you are. And the more present I become in my life and work and relationships again. And I say again because I've had these blinders, just like my head's, down and looking forward to get through this uh, um, development of grandmother's voice or showing up for people and really just, now it's this wholeness of who I am in all of this, and really walking that way, and knowing that it's time to look at that, to be fully present. So there's some really nice messages here.
Let's focus.
Yes, enough.
Let's see if there's any questions in the chat.
Yeah. So there's some beautiful stuff. Kevin has left, I think, the conversation. He had to go somewhere. And they are a lot of, he was talking about encampments. And I know that this word came up for me today, just talking about homelessness and moving forward with like what's really happening in our all around our country, I think. And I'm not sure if you want to speak to that, but you did speak to the feminine, the women, and how important it is. And there's a lot of conversation. You can again look back at this, Allen.
Okay.
And
I want to quickly say that I just seen a couple already, that there has been governments, society in general, that loves their own agenda as long as everybody's distracted.
Mm-hmm.
If it's almost like watching everybody sleeping and doing the same thing over and over again. But definitely there has been a shift. Like COVID has taught us to say we're forced to look at each other and live with our families and the loved ones that are around us, like to focus on ourselves. Oh my God.
Mm-hmm.
But do you notice the earth had the ability to heal itself? And it started forcing people to reflect on who they are. So some people some will explore, well, I'll make bread or I'll do this. But others had a chance to research, to go on YouTube and explore, that took you to one place to another place, and it just started opening up. Now, when they lifted up the COVID and people are coming back, they like staying home. They didn't like to go to the corporate world. They didn't like to go back on a rat race. And so some have really changed. But you can see what is now quite obvious, that now we have these world conflicts that are taking place. These are old feudal conflicts that don't make sense anymore, because we had a chance to understand that we can we can bring peace into this world.
Mm-hmm.
But now what you're seeing is such a like old style energy, heavy
Mm-hmm.
energy, and I recognize it. It's man made, and who's making those things happen? It's and to me as a spiritual person of a say of a consciousness, that you can't that won't last. That
Mm-hmm.
will never last when people are awakened.
Mm-hmm.
But you can see if we all played into choosing sides, we're playing into it.
Yes. Yeah.
When we really have to find is where would we end up if we truly love each other and we come from that direction, from the heart? What miracles can we make? So right now, if you're gonna fall into choose sides and get really sad, and it's very sad, especially when they they show pictures of babies and children. They're playing on our heartstrings. They want us to be distracted that way. But enough is enough already. We can't play those games anymore. So be aware of social media, be aware of TVs, and be aware of messaging. We
Mm-hmm.
need each other worldly to pray, to ask God, ask whatever name you want to give that one, the source, Ichimanatu, Jesus, Buddha, or just the universe. Bring peace to this planet because we're.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to say that because we had Idle No More a few years ago, and there's people, us elders, that's been fighting for balance and bringing back our people, our rights, and bringing our back to equal, to be seen as equal in this country. So there was no idleness.
Hmm.
It's just that they go in phases. Everything's circular. So it was the younger people, it was the mothers, it was the aunties, it was the young people that said enough is enough already. We don't like the pace. So they accelerated the movement. So even that, doing that in a good way brings change.
Mm-hmm.
So demonstrating brings change. So, I look at it all and say, yeah, that has positiveness to it. Oh, that brings weight to it. So if you're always thinking in the positive that you are a co-creator, you can manifest good things. But if you're just too, sad about things or angry about things, then you can get lost in it. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I just wanted to say that. That's what I kind of feel at this at this moment, just looking at those two postings.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, and well, that's all real, right? And we know that. I think that we're people are realizing it, that we're already in the new world. It's so. Did I tell you this story? I'm going to tell you this one story after I acknowledge Susan because she put a beautiful post up here, and yeah,
Susan, I know Susan.
you are enough. Yep, and that's a lovely hello. I love that. Look at her beautiful dog in the background of that picture. And yeah, that's what these are all about is reminding everyone that we're enough, and this is a great way to have conversations and put it out there, because that's what Alan wanted to do. And as well, it's what we want to do. It's what we've been doing, spreading that word. The grandmas were like, we need to reach the people. It's time to share our messages and good, whatever, just, oh, let's do it. So and Kevin's draw, you didn't leave, so Kevin is still here. He says, I'm still here. So I hear what you're saying, Kevin, and I know that there's so much to talk about when it comes to how do we bring these beautiful teachings, the great law, these wampums to these spaces and places where we have the youth here that would need to hear this, that want to understand how to weave together now, right? How to bring these two worlds together. But I wanted to tell you this story because I've been sharing stories with you, Alan, about all this, what's happening with me. But one of the gardens that in Milton, we created that garden that's like a 60 by 40, and so we were told that we're not allowed to be in this garden for a little bit, and because I don't want to know if it's an endangered species, and I don't even know if I'm allowed to tell this story right now. So just don't run over there and go try to find this situation I'm telling you about. But anyway, there was a little bit of conflict about getting in the garden and who can go in, and all of a sudden we were told that there's like an endangered species or something that was going to be endangered there. And it was actually its new age name or new time. I don't know if that's the word. Is actually referred to as a new world bird. So it was actually a native species, native bird that kind of went missing from this area and then just showed up in this medicine garden that we created. And when we looked it up, it means that it's time for the new world. And it's those little morsels that we look for that bring that light and reminder that we are here for a purpose, and that this collection and collective and connection to each other is what we need to nurture and continue to grow stronger and support each other and make sure that we do our best to lift each other, and help each other through whatever darkness there is, because we know that every day the sun rises, the soul rises for us. And is that what you call it? Sol. Oh yeah, Sol. Right. So while we have a white spotted horse here, we're going to announce that he will be joining us on June 21st. So Kevin, come and visit him. We'll be together for National Indigenous Peoples Day, which is turning out to be an amazing event in Oakville at the Meeting House. And we have so many partners they saw the poster, they see what we're trying to do. We have a beautiful, like the whole space, it holds thousands of people. And we have guest speakers all day long. It'll start with about an hour and 15-minute long opening where, there'll be some performers and youth speaking and elders speaking, and just really acknowledging what it means to be universally connected, because that's what our theme is: universal connections. Did you want to say something, Alan?
Oh no, I understand your. We're at the end of our conversation. You're letting them know that I'm joining you to celebrate that day, and I just want to say I'm looking forward to it. And I do know the theme is connections. I think we've been talking about that today, but that's been something I've been talking about for a while now, and I'm looking forward to meet with you for the first time. I think we only met virtually, and I'm looking forward to see you all too. If you're in the area, come and say hi.
Thank you. And you can see the details of what the day will entail. We have the program. It's on the website right now, and there's some pretty cool people that will be there. Some land-based learning, getting your hands dirty. We have some amazing speakers when it comes to, Indigenous medicine. Our grandmas will be there. We have Samantha Dockstader and Layla Stats and Lacey Hill and Allen Sutherland. And there are a lot of people, and who knows who shows up, because there's also new authors from, from Six Nations and regular everyday people that are sharing their stories, and we have this outlet and opportunity to celebrate each other. So we hope you'll join us. And if there's anything else, Alan, that you'd like to share, I always like to promote whatever it is you're doing. His timeline is amazing. You can always see his website.
Yeah, just my website is under construction right now, reconstruction with a friend that you brought us into my life. It's gonna be modernized. I had an older one, 2008, jet hair black. It's updated. It's gonna be updated. So I just wanted to remind us that this is a time of renewal. The summer solstice is coming. There is a lot of changes that are happening, and the best way is to self-reflect, go with the flow, get a lot of rest, and drink a lot of water. It's going to be easier that way. Others are going to be confused. Just say, just meditate, relax. Everything's going to be all right. So I'll just end with my greeting of Akina Danawe Maganak. All my relations, we are all one.
Yawa, thank you so much. Also acknowledging that on June 21st will also be the strawberry full moon. So we know that being together, there's a lot that we'll be doing, and the grandmas will be offering, and we look forward to seeing everyone there. So yawa for joining us today.